Two.
Yeah, I'm recording.
Okay, 5 to 7 minute speech. I can do timer.
Well, I can do the evaluation.
Okay.
And then we're gonna have table topics.
Hank has come and has some table topics handy, so sure, we can do some table topics. I'm curious.
Okay.
Mike,
Ready?
yes, we are.
Okay. I love planning and organizing and getting things accomplished. And one way I stay organized is by using file folders to store things on my computer. But I have a file folder joke to get things started. I don't know if you've met Dwayne Leem. He's from my other club. He grew up in the Philippines. So here's one for Dwayne. What do you call a Filipino contortionist?
Ooh, what do you call a Filipino contortionist?
A manila folder.
Ah, okay.
Now we don't have any ladies out there, but if we did have ladies, here's one for them. How do you keep your husband from reading your email?
How?
Save it in a folder called instruction manual.
Whoa.
Folders, okay.
Okay, so this is the second speech in the evaluation of feedback project for my persuasive influence pathway, which is my fourth pathway that I'm working on.
Wow.
The second speech is supposed to reflect some or all of the feedback from my first speech. So I did what I love to do. I went to the file folder on my computer where I saved the notes for the speech and the evaluation, which was by my club member, Daniel Jew. And I really appreciate him typing up his evaluation, sending me a copy. And I want to show you where it is. So I'm going to share my screen. And then let's see if I can find something here. Okay, so here where it says documents.
Yes.
This is where I store things in documents. I have since I've been storing things for about 20 years, I have about
Oh my goodness.
I have about 80 folders there under documents.
Wow.
And my first one I've got is Toastmasters. And since I've been doing Toastmasters since 2018, about 6 years, I have about 40 folders in there.
Wow.
So I'm going to go to the folder that says speeches, because I try to keep track. I try to save my speeches and my evaluations and all that kind of stuff. So my very first pathway was presentation mastery.
Okay.
And here's I have a folder for each of my levels.
Uh-huh.
And then in each of my levels, I have a folder for each of my speeches.
Oh boy.
So let's go and look at my latest speech, Persuasive Influence, my level 1, evaluation and feedback, speech number 1. And I can look and see, because Daniel, he did my evaluation and I was able to save it and see what he recommended, which is the important part of doing evaluation and feedback, is using the recommendations from the evaluator. So his recommendations were using visuals to effectively present speech content. That was something I excelled at. Then he said, you may want to work on making sure your content sticks to your thesis. And this is where I got in trouble with my evaluation and feedback, because the night before I had just watched Sound of Freedom. Have you seen Sound of Freedom?
No.
It's a show about human trafficking, especially with children in
Mm.
Central and South America. It's kind of a drama, kind of based on facts, but really interesting. And you can watch that show for free at a website called angel.com. I recommend it. Anyway, I have read it. I had watched it the night before, and it was so amazing to me that I made mention of it in my speech. And Daniel didn't like that because I was getting off the thesis. But anyway, since I'm talking
5
about
minutes.
making a correction, I can bring it up now. Okay, he also said, give this speech in person to practice your gestures and eye contact. Okay, here we go. Gestures, eye contact.
Marvelous.
Eye contact?
Yeah.
Great.
And then down here, he said, here's the emerging things I need to work on. My tone seemed neutral. It did not fluctuate much. I should have been louder like this. Get your attention. And then I should have used a pause like this. He also said he did not see gestures, but he knows it's hard for doing a Zoom meeting. Anyway, so this was his evaluation, and I was supposed to
6 minutes.
use some ideas from that. Okay, I'm just going to go really quick. I want to go back to my very first icebreaker that I gave. I gave my first icebreaker in November of 2018.
Wow.
Presentation mastery. And Carol, my evaluator was Carol. And Carol gave me this beautiful, wonderful evaluation. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Okay. Here's her evaluation. Great job. Funny jokes. Held my interest. Loved hearing about family and growing up. Told personal stories. Isn't it amazing that have I organized my file folder so organized that I can go back 6 years
7
to
minutes.
find my very first evaluation. It was such a positive evaluation. How could I not want to come back to Toastmasters after that? It was wonderful. So what about the funny stories? What was the funny stories that she told? Okay, I'll tell you one real quick. There's a story about a young single mother that had twin boys, and she couldn't figure out how she would be able to take care of them. So she put them up for adoption. And one was adopted by a family that lived in Egypt. And one was adopted by a family, they named him Amal. And then one was adopted by a family in Mexico. They named him Juan. So this young woman, she ended up getting married and having some more kids, but she always wanted to find out what happened to her 2 twin boys that she gave up for adoption. So one day she went to her husband and she said, can you look up, see if you can do some research, see if you can find my boys. I want to write to them and see how they were doing. So he looked it up, he found them, she sent a letter. And a few weeks later, a letter came from Egypt and a letter came from, and she also asked him, please send a picture. I want to see you. And so she got these 2 letters, but only Juan's letter had a picture. And she was real happy. The boys were doing really well in their lives, and she was so happy about that. But the one thing that she was upset about is that only Juan sent a picture. And she was crying, and she brought it to her husband. And she says, they're doing so well, and I'm so happy, but only Juan sent me a picture. And her husband thought about it for a minute, and he says, well, that's okay, dear. When you've seen one, you've seen them all. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay. Didn't see that one coming. Okay. Thank you. And
Can I do an evaluation now?
I was wondering if you wanted to do your evaluation now or wait till after the table topics, but go right ahead.
Well, now that I have a few thoughts in my mind, let me evaluate this wonderful speech about that Michael Pruett gave. Michael, what a wonderful speech! What a timely speech! I know in your speeches you like to give positive information, useful information, and it appears that you love to teach. When you started talking about for folders, that perked my interest because I've procrastinated on even learning how to do that. I've procrastinated on having order in the speeches that I give and the things that I've done in Toastmasters. So that was it was right down my alley. So your speech had marvelous interest, at least for me, and I'm sure everyone else benefited from it. Your humor was quite good, as usual. I think if I had to give an award for humor, you would receive that award, and I enjoyed that. So here's something to make the speech even better. You could maybe, I don't know how you would do it, but you could maybe give a quick how to make a folder in a subfolder real quickly. That would really strengthen your speech, and it gives some value to people like me. But anyway, thank you for your speech, Mike, and I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to hear you speak again because I always learn something from your speeches.
Well,
Thank you
can
for
I
that.
just make a comment? One thing I
Okay.
learned from Cynthia is that when you're doing your share screen, if I did a share screen with you, there is a button that I can push that allows me to set up file folders on your computer.
Oh boy,
Oh,
that
ah,
is something. That is something.
Yeah, so you just tell me
interesting.
what file folders you want, and we can get on a share screen, and I can just set those folders up for you.
Okay, great.
Wow.
Okay, let's do that soon. Maybe not now, but soon. Okay.
Yep,
All
let me
right.
know when's a good time for you. I'm retired, so I got lots of time.
Well, I'm not retired. I'm just tired.
There you go. Okay, I'll work around your schedule.
Okay, great. All right.
Okay, that was very good, and thank you for coming in with that evaluation. I like that. Something to consider, rather than delaying the evaluation, maybe having it sooner. And now Hank has spent some time and some effort coming up with some table topics. So Hank, as table topics master, please take the virtual lectern.
No, thank you. Well, yeah, I do have a few table topics questions prepared, and I see that there's four of us here today, so yeah, I figured I've got plenty of questions for everybody.
Okay.
Okay, right on.
Does anyone do we have any volunteers? Does anyone want to go first? Oh,
Well, I'll go first.
okay. Okay, Kawaza. Yeah, my question for you is, what would you do if you won the lottery?
Ooh. Well, if I won the lottery, it's interesting you mention that because they have these TV shows You know, I mean, people, they buy their dream home. But there's also another show that talks about people who won the lottery and actually what happened to them. And they're not all warm and fuzzy success stories. Some people made bad investments, and then I saw a couple actually ended up, you know, a year or so later, minus the winnings. So taking that as an instructive piece, I would definitely contact a financial advisor manager first so that we could set up how to keep as much of the lottery winnings as possible. Being a little older, and I don't have to say that I'm going to get my mom and dad a house since they're deceased, so I don't have that potential expenditure. I do have children and grandkids, but I'm not one of those who feels that you have to like what is the term? Really take care of them. I think that inheritances should be incentives and not exactly the old taking care of the succeeding generation. So what I would do, I'd contact a financial advisor. I'd probably get a different new residence, maybe a newer car, and do some travel. Go to places that I dreamed about going, but now I can afford to go. Oh, and I can travel there in style. I don't, you know, I don't have to go coach. I can go first class. That's it, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, it's yeah, thanks for the answer. It's some interesting some ideas. Yes, maybe I'll take a couple of those and keep that in mind just in case I ever win big. Okay, but now I've got more questions. Is there? Do I have another volunteer, or shall I pick someone?
Why don't you pick someone?
Okay,
I'll volunteer.
yeah, Uncle Wade, I choose you. So
Okay.
my question for you is, you know, in our lives, we have there are lots of people who have inspired us or influenced us during our lives. And so my question for you is, who is a person who inspires you and why?
Well, I have fellow Toastmasters. Let me tell you about the inspirations. There are several people who have inspired me to do things that I ended up enjoying. The first one was a Catholic priest who was also the coach of the athletic teams. He at the end of my sixth grade, he told me that he needed to have a pitcher for the next season. So I was chosen to be that pitcher. So I practiced my curveballs and all of that. So I pitched, and then at the end of the seventh grade, he told me that he needed a catcher, and so he wanted me to catch. And that was nice because that became my position during high school and college. I really enjoyed that position. So he encouraged me, and I've had other encouragers too. I had this friend who would who I admired very well, and he asked me what was happening, and so I told him how unhappy I was with the field that I had gone into, and he said, well, why don't you do what you're talking about a few years ago? So that ended up in me going to medical school. So that was my second career. So these were people who encouraged me to do things that I was interested in doing. And back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Yeah, thank you again. Yeah, it's interesting to hear, you know, sometimes stories from a person's past and how their path kind of took them in unexpected directions. And so yeah, thank you. Okay, now I guess that we've had 3 questions so far. Now, Mike, are you ready for a question?
You bet.
Oh, okay. Now, okay, my question for you is, there, you know, some people seem to have a almost a natural, you know, sense of humor, and some people seem to have a lot of difficulty with humor. What are ways that adults can become funnier?
What are ways that adults can become funny?
Hmm.
That is a good question. My wife doesn't think I'm funny at all. In fact, I asked her if she ever fantasized about me. She said, yeah, I fantasize about you washing the car, cleaning the dishes, and mowing the lawn. I heard a story about a woman. You know, marriage is hard, but I hear stories that make me glad that I'm married. I heard a story about one woman, and she liked to hang out at the bar. She had a lot of friends, and she would sit by the front door and greet all her friends as they came in at night. And one day this man came in that she hadn't seen before. She says, I haven't seen you around here before. And he said, yeah, I know. I just got out of jail for killing my wife. And she says, oh, so you're single. I just made a list of them. I have about 50 marriage jokes.
Wow.
And if I can memorize it, I think I'm going to go do a stand-up and go through them. And some of them are personal stories. Some of them are just jokes that I hear, but some of them are personal stories. Like last weekend, my wife and I went out, and we went out with some people, and I looked at her, and I thought she looked really pretty. So I told her, you look really pretty. You know what she said?
You must have
What do
it.
you want?
What do you want?
Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
What do you want?
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I'll remember a couple of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I can send you my joke of the day list. I have a list
Ooh.
called Joke of the Day Plus.
wow.
And so it has at least one joke for every day of the year.
Nice.
Mostly I have, like, it has many jokes, but I have my Joke of the Day Plus. I'll send that to you if you want it. And you'll have some jokes that you can tell.
Do you have any doctor jokes?
Any what kind of jokes?
Doctor.
I
Any
didn't hear
doctor
you.
or medical jokes?
Yeah,
Oh,
doctor.
doctor jokes. Of course.
Okay.
How
Well,
about the one about the doctor and the patient?
yeah,
The
okay,
doctor
go
calls
ahead.
the patient and he says, I have some bad news and I have some very bad news. And the patient says, what's the bad news? And the doctor said, well, your test came back. I'm sorry to say you only have 24. The test said you only have 24 hours to live.
Mhm.
And the patient says, well, what's the very bad news? And the doctor said, I've been trying to get a hold of you since yesterday.
Oh, okay, great.
But I got a text from Cynthia,
Okay,
Oh,
And she, she had that stroke and it affected her eyesight.
right.
oh,
And so she thought that she had a detached retina because that's something common in her family. And but she went to an optometrist, she got checked out, and she said actually her eye, the problem in her eye was bleeding in her eye.
Oh, wow.
It was related to her diabetes. She has because of her high blood pressure.
mhm.
And she's just had a lot of trouble getting to a hospital or getting to a doctor to have somebody help her. I don't know. You have any suggestions? How could she go get some help for that?
Did you just go to emergency room?
Yeah, she did that. And I guess she did that. She went to the emergency room twice and now they won't see her anymore.
What?
Yeah.
What plan is that? Uh, I don't know what her medical situation is. She should contact her primary because that's a multiple problem. One, the vision being affected, and if she's got bleeding in her eye, that's op that's OD optometrist problem that they need to consult in to see her about, because that sounds like if there's bleeding or has been bleeding, it sounds like there might need to be some intervention to take care of that. And I may be overstating the problem here. Hank, Dr. Wade, jump in if I'm getting out of bounds on that, but it sounds like that might need some intervention.
It,
Yeah.
I would want to I would want to be seen by an ophthalmologist if there's bleeding. I'm not sure. Is she saying if it's in her eye and she has high blood pressure, then that could definitely become, get worse if it's not treated. So yeah, I would
We
definitely.
have two nurses here and a doctor. This is good. Okay, I'll let her know.
Yeah, yeah, just, if it's acute, she should go to the emergency room right away.
Yes.
But if it just happened a few months, a few years ago, she should probably go to the eye doctor at a convenient appointment.
Oh, so related question. Is she having headaches?
Headaches?
Yeah,
I don't know.
because that would be a real emergency. I don't care if you've been there 100 times. If she's having headaches with this, they need to see her post haste and pronto.
Okay. Very good.
Wow. Well, thank you, Hank, for those interesting questions.
Oh, well, I'm not done yet.
Oh, what? You got more?
Oh,
You want some doctor jokes?
Okay,
sure,
you got a doctor
sure,
joke.
sure.
Okay. So the doctor asked his nurse about the boy who swallowed a quarter.
Okay,
She said, no change yet.
no change.
And one little girl ate a roll of film. And the
Okay.
doctor said, let's take an x-ray and see what develops.
Yeah.
And one patient said she thinks she's an elevator. And the doctor said, send her right up. Another patient said he thinks he's a keyhole. The doctor said, I better look into it. And then one patient said, I think I'm getting smaller. And the doctor said, he will have to be a little patient. Another patient said he was invisible. And the doctor told the nurse, tell him I can't see him now. And another patient said he thinks he's a smoke detector. And the doctor said, tell him there's no cause for alarm. And one guy said, doctor, I swallowed a spoon. And the doctor said, sit down and don't stir. And one patient said he thinks he's a parachute. And the doctor said, tell him I have no openings today. And one man said he thinks he's a pack of cards. And the doctor said, I'll deal with him later.
I like that one.
And then when he came back, the doctor said, this needs to be dealt with. And one doctor said, I swallowed a golf ball. And the doctor said, yes, I can see it's gone down a fair way. And why are doctors so calm? They have a lot of patience, except for pediatricians. They have very little patience.
Ah, okay, got me on you.
Okay. All right.
Don't want to wear out my welcome.
Okay, great. You got any?
And here next week as well.
Okay, why don't you bring some CPA jokes for next week?
Financial advisor jokes. Ooh,
Yeah, I have some of those too,
okay.
especially tax time jokes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I bet you do. Okay, folks, gentlemen, thank you, Hank, for those table topics. And thank you, Mike, for that speech. And your speech on the file folders. Wow. That's inspiring even for somebody like myself who is not as tech savvy.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do that for ages. I have these scribbled up notes with my speeches on. I wanted to at least put outlines in my a folder of outlines so that I can come back and grab those speeches whenever I want. But
Hey, Dr. Wade, Mike, if Dr. Wade has those scribbled up notes, why don't he could scan those and just file the scan?
That's right. That's what you do. Scan
well,
them and
well,
save them in a folder.
you know how doctors write.
Oh, well,
Oh, the doctor's
yeah,
writing. Can the
right.
doctor read his own writing? That's the question.
Well, oh, is that kind of like the court reporter people who it's really good the first day or so, but if you try to go back a week later, it's like, what the hell is this?
Yep. Right. There's a lot of scribbling that you have to give context to.
Well, I always wondered, do they actually teach doctors how to write like that? Because I know they didn't enter medical school writing like that. They couldn't have got out of college.
Um,
Okay, gentlemen.
Okay, well, I'll send you all my joke of the day plus.
Thank you.
Some of it's more philosophy than jokes, but there's actually a joke about that.
Philosophy?
Yeah.
Oh, what is the joke?
When you get married, if you get a good spouse, you can be happy. If you get a good spouse, you become a philosopher. That is a quote from Socrates.
Whoa, way back when? Okay.
3,000 years ago.
So how many wives did he have?
You know, I don't remember reading about any. But hey, very good. Okay, gentlemen, thanks a lot. We'll see you next week, and I'm going to twist a couple of arms and get those ladies in here, Dr. Wade.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'm gonna send you that joke of the day list, and you can email me back if you want to set up a time. We can set up some folders for you.
Okay, great. Sounds marvelous. Okay.
Everybody have a great weekend. I don't know how it is back there, Hank. It's kind of sweltering out here, but if the weather's hot, hopefully it cools down.
Yeah, well, it's not extremely hot, but it is kind of humid. Yeah, it's kind of hot and humid.
Oh, that's right. You got humid back there.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, hopefully you don't hit triple digits again too much.
Yeah, we had a 116 day a few years ago.
Ooh, whoa.
Lucky for me, I was out salmon fishing most of the day. It was beautiful out there in the ocean.
Oh, you were on the ocean. Okay.
No,
I thought you were up the river and it was like, oh man, that must have been nice being on the river salmon fish.
Wow. Is that in California? It was 116?
In Antioch, yeah, 116.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
we get
well,
hot out here, Hank. It gets hot.
And my daughter lives in Phoenix, so they have like 110 all the time, you know?
Oh yeah, that's Arizona. They
Yeah.
get hot.
It's hot down there. Okay,
All
see
right.
y'all later.
All right,
Okay.
everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
okay. All right, good seeing everybody.
Good night.
See you later, alligator.